They're back.
Oh,
A little bit tan.
sunburn.
Was it warm?
It was really nice. It was beautiful. It was, I don't know, 80, 90
Okay.
every day.
There was always a breeze, so it didn't feel that warm.
I don't know. It was very humid. Like one day, I think I changed my clothes like three times.
Oh my gosh.
I just went and sat in the pool.
So, but it was really nice. I mean, you haven't been to Costa Rica, have you?
No.
The people are super friendly. They're just really, really nice.
Yeah, they are.
Is it like Dominican, like where everyone's just super friendly?
Yeah, it's just really nice. It's a little different than Dominican in that everybody's really nice, but it's a little shocking because there are bars and
razor
barbed
wire
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking up the crime statistics, it's actually super dangerous place.
Yeah, the tourist places are fine, but even when we were out and about, it would be like the security or the police would be like right by us.
Yeah.
Always. And then the other people kind of give us a berth. San Jose is pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not a touristy place where we stayed, but when we first got there, we went to, I always call it Jaco, but it's called Jaco.
Okay.
And it's a pretty new tourist area. I didn't realize it's only 20 years in the tourist industry.
Okay.
And they're very focused on tourism. So it's a safer place. Places where there's tourism, it's pretty safe because they want tourists to keep coming back.
Well, I mean, I read it was similar to Mexico, where like those kind of areas, they pay off the cartels and they pay off the security to protect.
There is no military.
There's no military.
They disbanded their military.
Okay.
So it's interesting. And we finally did ask. We had in San Jose, went on a food tour and we asked her about the razor wire because philosophically, just psychologically, what would it like if you think about what would it feel like to live behind bars?
Yeah.
And she said in the last 5 years, it's gotten progressively worse, just like you talked about, because the drug cartel has gotten progressively more aggressive.
Yeah.
And they have open borders. So there are no borders. It's open borders. And she said, we're just the bridge to the U.S. for the drug cartels.
Interesting.
So that was interesting. I mean, very interesting.
Yeah.
So like 30 years ago, the waves in Jaco are perfect for surfing.
Okay.
So it was very much
town.
a destination for surfers and hippies and people that wanted that kind of lifestyle to go and chill on the beach. And you can see where there's these little enclaves of huts and shacks for people to sleep. And they drive their cars down there and just sleep on the beach and surf, and they come out of the city to go do it.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of evolved into
more of a tourist, but it's not really. It's not the top tourist place to go. But we were at a really nice, one of the nicer hotels. I mean, I kept calling it the Crocodile Hotel. And I'm like, kids, it's not going to be the Hilton. But it actually was really nice. It was a really nice hotel.
Yeah,
and
it was. Nice
we'd
property.
walk into town because we didn't have a car and stuff. And it was actually really nice.
Okay.
We went on a little food tour. And the guy wouldn't go to the beach at night when it got darker. He's like, I don't think we should go to the beach.
Yeah.
Probably with these blonde people.
Well, that was another thing is for women in particularly, it's extra dangerous.
There was a lot of security presence downtown, and there was a lot of prostitution going on.
A lot of nieces.
A lot of nieces.
Yeah.
And it was, it's different when you have your 14-year-old with you. You definitely, she got, her brothers scared her to death before we got there. Like, just don't be by yourself. Stay by us.
Seriously,
but,
though.
I mean, you just are cautious. But we had a wonderful time. Everybody was very nice. And we walked the street. I mean, there were 5 of us. So we walked the streets and felt very safe. But our food tour guide, I asked him, because we took a cab there, the hotel arranged, we got a cab there to go there, and it was only like 2 miles away. We'd walked half that distance, no problem, but we said, hey, could you arrange a taxi home? And he's like, I'll just drive you. And then we were only like a mile. We're like, oh, we'll walk. We've walked this distance the past few nights. And he's like, no. I would rather drive you. I'd feel better. So Kevin was stuck in his hatchback.
Like in the trunk.
And he's like, no, he's like, why don't you drive? I'll go in the trunk.
Oh my gosh.
There was no way.
I'd rather just be in the trunk.
I was driving on those streets with those crazy drivers. They do not obey. And there's so many pedestrians and bicycles and scooters.
But it was he was very sweet. He's like, no, I want to get you home safe.
He was such a positive energy, and physically he was built exactly like Will Mason.
Yeah.
He was the same height, same physicality. I mean, bald.
And his wife is a human rights lawyer.
Fit,
okay.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. And it was like the Costa Rican Will.
That's
it was super funny.
It was great.
Yeah.
And great food. I mean, it was a fun time. We had a great time.
Yeah.
But he wasn't taking no for an answer. He's just like, no, I'm going to get you home safe.
And the food, because we got there and their local dishes were like this rice and beans. And so we went on the tour and it was like, oh, I want you to try our national foods. It's like, so it was rice and beans. And then it was like beans and rice. And then it was rice and beans for breakfast. And then it was beans and rice for lunch. And then it was more rice and beans. You want fish with your rice and beans or chicken with your rice and beans?
Yeah.
So everything was black beans, which was really good.
Yeah.
Except at some point it was like, oh, I really just
like,
want
we're going to give you our local buffet. And we're like, let me guess, rice and beans.
Yeah.
So on the way home through the airport, we're all walking past this sign and it was a bowl of meatballs and spaghetti sauce. And all three of us guys looked at each other. We were like, that's it. That's what we're doing. Poof.
Anything.
But it was interesting. They told us later in San Jose on this history tour we went on that if they got rice or they got beans, they were single. But if they got rice and beans, they were married. So at lunchtime, you could tell if they were single or married. So you could scope them out, whether they were single or married.
That's
so
funny.
It was interesting.
Yeah. In one of the courtyards outside of the church,
Good morning.
They walked in this direction,
the
boys would walk in one direction and the girls would walk in another.
Walk in this. It was like
middle school.
It was Tinder.
It was like old school Tinder.
That's hilarious.
You could meet each other.
Yeah.
Maybe we need that today. A promenade of single people so they can scope each other out and see who's single.
It's like Bridgerton, right? You knew on your card who was single.
Oh, and Sedona was...
I didn't know that. On this card,
they had they had the dance card of like people, anybody to dance with was single and like open to marrying.
Oh, only the card, and then the married people wouldn't have the cards.
What is Bridgerton?
It's a TV show, but it's based on the
like
book.
English.
Yeah,
it's like old England.
You don't know Bridgerton, the Duke of we had the big cutout for our book club party.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the cutout man? That was,
it was like when you were eligible to be married, you went into the courting.
Yeah,
thing.
and I know I'm not part of my world.
Well, there's the book. It's based off books, which are based off history. But
so Sedona's entire goal to make it a perfect vacation,
she had two,
was frolicking in the ocean, which
for TikTok,
right? Which we accomplished.
Pretty quickly.
And then so on the beach, there were like, she was chasing coconuts. And I'm like, what is
She wanted to eat it from a coconut.
Out of a coconut, she wanted to drink and eat a coconut.
Oh, gross.
So we never really kind of found that in the first little
we couldn't find
part
a
of the
coconut.
trip. But as on the last day.
The very last day.
Houston and I went to this structure. It was a gazebo courtyard structure.
Well, we were on a food tour, so we had like a very regimented, like we were going to church and we had like 10 minutes to go see the church.
Okay.
And these yahoos.
So there were these tourists there with coconuts drinking out of them. And it was like, where'd you get those?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, it's just right around the corner. So we go down around the corner, no coconuts. And then we're like, so we come back around the corner the other way, no coconuts.
Meanwhile, we've seen the church and the tour guide is going, where are they? And we're like, they'll be back. They'll be back. And she's like, okay, we have to go. Like, where are they? And I'm like, they'll be back.
So we went down the first street again and went one more block, and there were the coconuts. So there's this guy.
Meanwhile, we're back there going, they'll be back.
So we're like, dose, coconut. And then he's like digging in this thing, and he's making a big show of it because that's
just
part
give her the coconut.
Yeah.
No,
and
they're chatting with him and making.
And then he pulls out this machete, and he's got to like start, and he's making a big show of chipping and doing the coconut to get to the thing.
Gosh. And then Dad's making jokes about losing a finger and all this. So they're taking forever. And meanwhile, she's getting very upset because we're in this big like Central Park area, and she's this little tiny little thing.
Is this with everybody?
Yes. Well, no, just us.
Oh,
it's just us at this point. But it is with another group because we're on a group tour. And so this little 5' nothing, is going to go save them and go find them down an alley street.
Oh my gosh.
And their phones don't work, so we can't call them or anything.
So as we're returning to the group and everybody's sitting on the sidewalk looking at their
frantically
freaking
looking
out,
for them.
We've got these coconuts, and it was like we returned as conquering heroes.
It did. Sedona did cry a little
and she
bit.
probably hated it too.
She did hate it.
Yeah.
She pretended she liked it, but she really hated it. Sorry to burst your bubble.
I already knew that.
I thought it was pretty good, actually, the coconut milk. I tried it.
I don't like it at all.
Out of the coconut, it was
But it
tolerable.
She did. I've got a picture of her, and she was all teary-eyed. It meant a lot to her. That's what you guys went.
So what is this newspaper incident?
What do you mean?
Newspaper? I don't know. It says, what about Sedona's newspaper incident?
It was a magazine.
I had a magazine. I was reading it, and it got wet in the pool, and I threw it up to the side. And I don't know, it got somewhere. And Sedona, I don't know why she sat on the newspaper.
It was a magazine.
The magazine.
It transferred.
Then she got up and she had like celebrity faces on her booty.
Probably for days.
No, we washed it off. But she got up and in the whole pool area, she's got celebrity faces on her. I mean,
full size.
It was it was like the silly putty.
Oh my God.
We just laughed, and of course took pictures.
Was she a good sport about it?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
she crying?
Oh,
okay.
no, she was a good sport.
No, it was funny. It was hilarious. I didn't know who the people were, but total
it was probably
faces.
Taylor Swift.
It looked almost like tattoos on
it. Yeah.
On her booty.
That's hilarious.
It was funny.
That's good.
So every morning,
and we went to coffee farms, but Patty she's got a cold, so we didn't want her to
miss out on
telling us all about the fun coffee
have,
stories.
The pictures and stuff ready.
We'll pictures.
Logan just put them on the server.
It was. I'll just say, I'm visiting the coffee farm. It always is just I love doing it with our franchisees because they just have such an appreciation, just a better appreciation for coffee. And it was just an amazing experience, and especially this particular farm. And then added on, they just opened up nurseries for the workers' children, which just added on a really cool level. And we're going to be doing something really cool for the nurseries too in the Sloan Museum. Girls were there, and they want to do something special, so we'll be talking about some of that stuff. But it was a really cool experience that we'll talk about next time. But I really wanted Patty
I heard
to
you
be part of that.
You had a barnacle at the nursery.
Oh, it was so cute.
Gosh. I walked in, and this tiny little girl,
a year and a half maybe,
just starting
cute.
to walk. You know, that Franken baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was reaching down to her, and she latched onto my finger.
You just
and
walked in.
wouldn't let go.
She just grabbed onto your finger, and that was it. And then she led him over to a chair and just crawled up in his arms. And this other little boy was trying to get to him, and she's kicking him. She's like, get away.
He's mine.
He's mine. And he's like trying to get up in his lap, and she just was having none of it. She was like, he is mine.
That's funny.
And she just cuddled on in.
Yeah,
she leaned in and just was like.
She was like, she adopted him, and she was adorable.
That's so
just
sweet.
Looked at him, that adoring look.
I feel like that happens everywhere. If there's little kids, they just like grab you and they're like, oh, he's coming to the playroom. We know where he belongs.
It was
not
really
with the grown-ups.
Yeah, totally.
He's one of us.
Yeah.
He's
of course, on the back side of it, there's Houston,
Oh
who's
God.
out playing soccer with 6 or 7 boys.
Him and Will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Will's really good at soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love that. They get them all amped up.
But
too.
then there was a gated area, and the soccer went over it, and it's like a cliff. And I was like, "Oh, you lost their one soccer ball."
No.
But one of the coffee guys who was driving the truck ran down and got their soccer ball for him, because I was like, "Oh, if you lost their one soccer ball."
Soccer balls are precious.
You better be mailing them a whole bunch of soccer balls.
Oh, but. Yeah, it was pretty special.
Yeah, that was a fun visit.
And I did feel bad because like they wanted my bracelets, but there wasn't enough for all of them. I'm like, that's a gift. Right. And if we would have thought ahead, we would have brought stickers and bracelets, and I just didn't even think about it. You can always
mail them a big care package.
That was our plan. And next time we go, we'll be mindful of that.
Yeah. But yeah, if you give one something,
then they're going to be really fair for the other kids. And
well, I think he said there were in the entire community of their plantations and with all the pickers in season, they have 450 kids.
Because there's 3 different places. They only had 22.
I think 6 different
because they're off season, so there were only 22 kids there.
Okay.
Currently.
Yeah, but that's a lot of babies to take care of.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a school's worth,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do they go to school there, or they go to other schools?
Yeah, they educate them there and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
They take care and do all of it. And
That's
they
cool.
wash their clothes. They do everything for them right there.
That's neat.
So that their parents don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. How long was the flight there?
It wasn't bad. We went to Fort Lauderdale, so 2.5 hours or whatever, and then we went another 3 hours.
Okay.
So it wasn't bad.
Not that bad. I heard you guys almost missed your connection.
We did miss our connection.
Oh, you did?
They held the plane.
Okay.
So they de-iced our plane and everything. So by the time we got there, it was 5 minutes after they were supposed to take off.
Oh, no.
But I'd asked the steward, I said, okay, we already are past the time.
Right.
And there were 5 of us on the plane. And he said, there's 15 people on this plane going to Costa Rica.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, they're going to hold the plane for you. So when we got to the other plane, they were angry,
right?
Because they'd waited there that long, and then they had to wait. There was someone in a wheelchair and stuff. Then they had to wait for our luggage too,
right?
So they had to wait probably 35 or 40 minutes longer.
Okay.
And so our seats were fine. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just spam.
So that was nice that they had to wait, but there was no way they were rerouting all those people. And it was literally the next thing over because Fort Lauderdale's a tiny little airport.
Right.
But I was kind of a little bit upset because the kids, people had already stolen their seats.
Well, they have to move.
No,
right?
they didn't make them move. They're like, oh, well, you just take that seat. And
I'd be like, I paid for that seat.
That's what I was, but they didn't want to make a big deal about it because people had already.
Right.
I'm going to call the airlines because I already paid for those seats.
Right.
So, well, you can at least give me my money back for those seats.
Right.
Well, and 15 people on a plane, that could be quite, especially going to Costa Rica.
Fort Lauderdale's a tiny little airport, so there's no way they're
like Flint.
And unfortunately, 2 of our franchisees that were flying out, they did miss their connecting flight, and they couldn't even get out till the following day, and it was going to be too late. So they weren't able to join us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They
were coming out of Dallas, though, so I feel like you could.
I don't know. Like, I was looking for flights to Fort Myers, and there's so few flights into the Fort Myers airport. Like, it's crazy.
But Dallas is a big airport.
Yeah, but it's to Costa Rica. That's the problem, right?
Well,
there's just no flights to Costa Rica.
Probably only 2 or 3 a day in and out.
Yeah. If that.
Yeah. I only saw one jet out.
That was tough.
I know from Flint, there's 1 flight from Flint to Fort Myers a day.
But that's a tiny little airport. Dallas is a huge airport.
Dallas is big, but
and
Costa
different
Rica's
airlines.
Tiny.
Well, it was their fault, so they can put you on a different airline.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I would have.
There is any.
So, so for 15 people, I felt better when they said 15 people. And the people behind me when I came back, because Logan was saying they'll hold the flight. I said, Spirit, I don't think they're holding the flight. I said, you're right. They're going to hold the flight. And the people behind us were like, oh, thank goodness. We were so worried about it. Did you say Costa Rica?
Yeah.
So that was nice because it was only a 40-minute layover. So we knew it was really tight.
It shocks me how quick they make some, and they're like, as long as it is 40 minutes, the like max, there's 30.
Yes, because if they close the doors 15 minutes before, you know.
It seems like an hour should be like the minimum. There's delays.
Well, once they said they're de-icing the plane, I was like, there's no way this is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to take 20 minutes. And then if they close it, there's no way it's going to happen.
Yeah. It was crazy. Well, then you guys come home to a snowstorm. Oh my gosh.
At least
a little bit of snow.
We got 5.5 inches at our house.
Well,
the roads were dicey yesterday morning.
Really bad.
Really dicey.
Yeah.
They cleared up pretty quick, but it was
drove
dicey.
The kids to the bus stop, and I was like, oh, this is kind of sketchy. And then they canceled Dallas's field trip again.
Oh, poor guy.
But I took a ruler out and measured on the deck the new snow, and it was about 5.5 inches.
It'll melt by tomorrow.
Yeah, it was already melting by the time they got out of school.
So it was pretty. Angelica, so Louise and Angelica went, and they're from Texas, and Angelica's Mexican. And she was she's like, yeah, those kids didn't want anything to do with me. Like, yeah, we go home and see our mom looks just like you.
Yeah.
Nothing new here.
But it was really nice because they could speak Spanish. So when we split up in groups, it was nice because they could communicate so well.
Helps.
So on the farms and stuff, it really was very helpful.
Probably similar, but not quite the same. Their dialect. I know there's a lot, like Spanish is. There's a lot of different words and stuff. Like they said, like the Spanish they speak in Mexico versus the Spanish they speak in Spain versus like it can be very, very different. Because I was watching a funny video about a bunch of kids from Mexico who are in the United States, or their parents are from Mexico, and they take Spanish in high school because they think it's going to be a breeze. But in high school, they teach Spanish from Spain. And so then they're like, we don't use any of these words.
Oh, it's different.
So they can like get the gist of it, but it's different. And so they actually have to work hard in their Spanish class.
Oh, I never.
Their Spanish.
That's interesting.
Just, yeah. I was
That's
like,
very interesting.
I didn't think about that. But even English, I mean, can be very different.
Can be with all of our slang and
like in England, they speak English, but half the time we're like, I don't know any of those words that you just said.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I spoke very good
Spanish.
Spanish.
Did you do a good job with your O's?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe that.
I did a good job.
They probably speak English decently.
They did. Well, San Jose, not so much.
They can understand almost everything you're saying, but they just can't speak it. But they can understand what you're trying to.
Some of them, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple waiters or waitresses that struggled.
I asked for melted butter. So they gave me butter. So I said, no, thank you, in the packages. And then they brought me salsa.
As butter.
So
yeah.
But Marv got someone else, and they figured they.
Yeah, I mean, and they're probably not used to speaking English super often.
Well, I think it's different than the tourist places.
Yeah,
for sure, because there's not a lot of tourist places.
I know when Logan and I went to Sweden, in Malins' actual town, which was a very small town, like we went down to the grocery store by ourselves, and it was some older folks, and they're like, we kind of can speak English, but we don't practice it. So we're more scared to speak it than anything.
Right. They're embarrassed for some reason.
They don't think it's going to be right. Even sometimes when Martin comes here at first, he's like very shy about his English. And it's like, no, you do a really good job. Like, we're rude because we don't know your language coming here.
Oh, yeah. It's on us. Where did we go in Spain, that first city? And they just pretended they couldn't speak English because they didn't like Caledonia. It wasn't Caledonia.
It was
Valencia. Yeah, they just didn't really like Americans very much.
Oh, yeah, they didn't. They like tourists.
They wouldn't exchange money. They didn't like tourists at all there.
Interesting.
They pretended they didn't know what hello meant.
Yeah,
they were very.
I guess it kind of depends because if you get all those like TikTokers that come in kind of just like ruin your cities and stuff.
Yeah, they just weren't irritated. They weren't all about it at all. And they went to the bigger cities and everybody was very friendly. Yeah, no, like really they pretended they didn't even know what hello meant.
Yeah.
They were very, very
yeah.
Yeah.
But they also thought Angie was a gypsy everywhere we went to, so that didn't help at all.
No, that probably didn't help at all. Bulgaria was interesting because you could tell who the gypsies were. Like it was very distinct. The people from Turkey and Bulgaria, like it was very weird that you could tell walking down the street.
Yeah, that is.
How could you tell?
They looked different. They dressed really different too. Like the tour guides would kind of, and it's like, oh yeah, okay. It was just interesting. But mostly from their, like, how they were dressed and presented themselves.
Was that in Bojana's?
Yeah, Bojana is from Bulgaria, but we didn't get to meet up while we were there because she was too far away. It was like in Sofia, the city, like you couldn't, it was only in the small town where it was like very evident.
Okay.
I just wish I would have known how their shoes were because those handmade shoes.
Oh, their shoes are incredible.
Incredible.
I got like a leather jacket there too. That was
their
like
leather
handmade.
Goods were just amazing.
So nice and so inexpensive. Yeah, I think those shoes were like $15 or something.
Yeah, amazing.
Handmade leather shoes. We were in the small town. Obviously, once you got to Sofia, everything was like normal. But in the small town, everything was so cheap. Even we would go out to eat at restaurants and you basically get like 3 courses at every restaurant. There's like a big salad, bread, whatever, your meal, your dessert, and it'd be like $6.
But what about the fake taxis? Wasn't that there?
Taxis.
Where they're like, you have to be careful that you're not getting in, that you're getting into a real taxi?
We were at the school, so we didn't take taxis, but I'm sure that.
I thought you told me that there were like fake taxis.
I'm sure that there are. There are in every country. That'll just kidnap you.
Oh my God.
But yeah, we stayed with the school. So we stayed with like a big group of people. But it was weird. We'd go to restaurants and our meals would be so cheap. And then we'd leave like a huge tip because like, I don't even feel like this is fair. I don't feel like this is.
That's
she was the same way.
Well, because like it was like the surcharge. It was they added a 10% tip, which just seemed like nothing for.
Yeah.
I mean, they were very attentive and.
Yeah, we went to a pizza place and he cleared his whole restaurant for us. I mean, we needed almost all the tables, but it was like just crazy. It was cool though. It was really cool to learn about another culture. That's my favorite part of traveling is just learning about other cultures.
And I think especially some of the places you travel to, you're just so grateful. Do you know what I mean? And grateful. And then on the other hand, too, like things don't buy happiness. Do you know what I mean? These people are so incredibly happy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and their living conditions aren't, what we would consider, it wouldn't make us happy. Do you know what I mean? Right. But it doesn't, things don't buy you happiness either. On the other hand, do you know what I mean? We're grateful for what we have, but things don't bring you happiness.
Simpler way of life sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of my favorite things was the horses, though. This guy, it was late at night, and he just had this whole pack of horses, and he was leading them from the beach and taking them. But he was so funny. He yelled out, he's like, "Look, I found horses on the beach."
Just collecting them. I just imagine like balloons, but like big horses.
It was kind of like I just had all these horses. He's like, "Look what I found on the beach." And it's like, oh, just the horses on the beach. But he came the next morning, was offering. You could ride horses on the beach for $50 for an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I would cry. I am really scared of horses.
They're big animals.
Yeah.
And
like really scared of horses.
Can be unpredictable.
I don't like being next to horses, but I like being on horses.
Nope. You remember that one camp? The lady, the counselor didn't get to go on the horseback ride, which I knew she was really excited for because I couldn't do it. I got on the horse.
Stay with you.
My horse started fighting with the horse next to it. It was a huge horse. And I just started crying and I said, I'm not doing this. And then they had a bunch of issues with horses running back to the barn and horses being naughty. And
my horse, when I was in Brownies, jumped a fence.
With you on it?
With me on it.
And you held on?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It was scared to death.
Clutching on
it. Decided it wanted to go past the other horses.
Remember Sedona at her horse camp?
Oh, horrible.
They did a little show.
Yeah.
And crocodile tears the whole way around.
Oh, yeah, that'd be me.
Her horse was awful.
Yeah.
Those horses were not trained well at all.
I think it sounds, remember when we were little and Crystal got bucked off the horse? And I think that just really like...
Well, when you guys were really little, I took you to Camp Kopnakonic and they would have the horses. And I was there with you guys by myself. And you had put the kids on the horses, but you had to be next to them while they did it. But it was only me and I couldn't be by all of you. So it was like, it was very sweet. Like all these dads would come because they had dads and moms. All these dads would come and help me and do all my kids like with you kids.
Yeah.
It was very nice of them because I'm like, I can't, I had all these young kids and they would usually have older kids it was like all these pseudo dads would come help me with my children.
It's like Legoland.
I do have a dad for my kids. He's just not here.
Did you hear about this when we were at Legoland? There was one of those like spinny rides. Oh. And I'm like, I can't do it. But both the kids needed an adult. And had I known that Sedona had to be 15 or whatever, we would have lied about her age. But they asked and we just said her age and she wasn't old enough. Well, they were on a shift change. So the ride operator rode with Estelle at Legoland so that she could have an adult and go. Because I'm like, I can't do it.
Right.
And Chuck and Crystal each rode with Bobby, one of them. But I was so thankful. I was like, thank you.
Oh, that would have devastated her to not be able to do it.
Yeah. We could have like done it in shifts and stuff. That's not as fun. So that was super nice
really
of him.
Nice.
And he was like yelling and making it like a big deal and
Yeah, she didn't want to be left out. This morning when we were going to the car, Dallas was almost at the car and she ran back into the house and I saw her coming out with another snack. And she already had one and she was coming out with two and I was like, "Are you supposed to have two?" And she goes, but then she got to the door and I was like, so I grabbed one and I put it back on the banister. And she goes, "But Dallas has two." And I looked out the door and I was like, "Dallas, do you have two?" And he went, got that look on his face. And I'm like, "Do you?" And he goes, "Yes." And I'm like, I reached back in on the banister and grabbed hers. I was like, "Okay, looks like you get two."
Oh my gosh. He takes them to school on Wednesdays because they have late start day. So obviously they get away with a little bit more.
And I
don't check their backpacks though. They could totally take 2 snacks every day and I would have no clue.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're going to eat breakfast. Why do you need more snacks?
I feed them breakfast. They eat breakfast at school, then they have a snack, and then they have lunch, and then they have another snack when they get home.
They're growing. They need all this.
They eat so much food.
They like their snacks.
Hello from Pakistani.
Oh, from Pakistan. Oh, nice. Welcome.
Yeah, they eat a lot of food. I think they might even eat, because I fed them cereal, and I think they may have even had a muffin before they had cereal.
They can put down some food sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I think when they grow, though, sometimes they just need a lot of food.
Yeah. I like that they do breakfast at school now, because at least I'm making sure that they eat something semi-healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But
when I had the new car, or the loaner car. So
good morning, Charles.
Morning, Charles.
The radio station that I get to normally play when I have my car is Crazy Songs for Silly Kids.
Oh,
it's an actual station.
Right.
So they were like, "Oh, we want to play Crazy Songs for Silly Kids." And I'm like, "Well, I don't have it on this car," but it had Sirius.
Oh, okay.
So I was going through this satellite to see if they had kid channels. And I finally found one. I scrolled through and they got their silly songs.
Yeah, I think they have some sort of like kids bop or something.
That was it?
Yeah. The kids always get so excited and they're like, this song's on my kids bop at daycare. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, I got them some new games tonight. Really cool. So we've got some games to play with them.
I said the games came yesterday. So they're
They're excited.
Because we played Go Fish and War last time.
They said they get caca twice today. I'm like, yep.
Big day. It's a big day.
Big day for them.
First thing they said when I walked in was, "Oh, we get to Mimi's tonight."
Yeah.
Is there any news that we have? I think we did. You did subscription.
Yeah, we did subscription last week.
Live.
Most of that coffee's gone,
okay.
too.
It was the hot cocoa ones?
The hot cocos. They're super good. Everybody really liked them.
Okay.
That was a really good box. And
you're putting all the lives on podcast.
I love your Hawaiian Kona. Thank you, Brenda.
Kona's so good.
You can't see that far, but it's Brenda Ann.
Oh, hi.
She loves the Kona.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
I think we have inventory tomorrow, so we're just kind of gearing up for that. It's a long day of counting.
We count every single thing in the building, every K-cup, every single thing in the building.
Yep. So we ship out orders today, and then if we can, we ship out orders tomorrow, but not usually.
They'll be held.
Yeah, they'll be held for a day typically. We have a sale.
We do an inventory twice a year, so
Valentine's Day is coming up.
Oh,
yeah. We never got the heart gifts online. We need to do that. The cute little heart gifts.
Oh, we've got really cute little hearts.
I think we showed them to you guys.
Are they over?
No, I don't think it's in here anymore.
Okay, we did get the cutest heart for K-cups.
Yep.
It's better than a box of chocolates.
Email right now.
We'll get those
to do that. Little heart gifts. Yep.
Okay, Valentine. So they are little hearts. They're really darling with little K-cups in them.
Yeah.
So we'll get those online today.
Yep. I'm sending an email right now.
Okay.
That way we remember. Otherwise, we're going to walk out of here and forget exactly what we're thinking. I don't think there's any big updates. I'm trying to think. Next month's box is really cute. The pictures turned out really cute. So I'm excited for that.
I can't think what it is, but
you have until we used your bears for it.
Oh, okay.
The Muffy Bears?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Muffy Bear sets for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cute. You sign up by the 15th to get that box. I don't think there's any big updates though. Cinnamon Holiday Blend and Mary Mocha are basically gone. I think there was 2 or 3 caramel apples when I looked yesterday. Did you guys
announce how much?
No, we didn't. Okay. I need to get a total count.
Okay, we'll get a total of that for Habitat for Humanity.
Yep. K-cup gift box.
Okay.
But yeah, nothing crazy.
So, and then next week we'll talk about Costa Rica and just visiting the coffee farm specifically.
And hopefully we'll have some pictures and stuff ready to show you guys.
And how cool it is.
Yeah.
And that farm specifically. And we learned even more about what they do. Actually, they put some new initiatives in that they do for their workers. Even more stuff. Harry is their farm manager, I think, for a year. And we weren't able to pick coffee. Their season's already over. It's just
you said you weren't going to talk
really
about
crazy with the rain they had. So we did something actually even more special that we did. So we'll share pictures of that.
Are you teasing the next episode?
Yeah. Try to get a whole thing together. Maybe be a little bit more prepared.
So are you planting seeds for the next episode?
Perhaps. I can't read that
no pun
either.
intended.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more about Costa Rica next week, but we just don't want to leave Patty out.
No.
She would be bummed.
So,
all right. Thanks,
but everybody
guys.
have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week.